It's Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods.
.06 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It's a Wednesday, and over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Junebug Berry Muffins. Are they berries? Are they June bugs? Are they either? Taste it. Find out.
Got to look at the debate last night. Would like your reaction to it as well. Of course, we got to talk about that. And also, this is the anniversary of 9/11, which, much to my surprise, is not being talked about a whole lot. Although I've seen some reference to it, but not as much as I think there should be.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee, and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave. Just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave.
As you'd expect, I show up here at work and watch the debate while you guys are asleep, because I'm asleep when you're watching the debate. Yeah, I go to bed so early, I have to watch it the next morning. The advantage to this also is I get to kind of skip through some things, so I can get right to the meat and the point of it. So, yeah, I watched it, I'd say about an hour ago is when I put the thing on and went through to get just my impressions of what I thought happened. I'll tell you what I think, but then throughout the morning I'd like to hear what you think about it. Overall impression of last night's debate. Harris, with all of her rehearsing, did better than most people thought she would do. She usually is a cackling dimwit. And she didn't appear to be a cackling dimwit. Oh, don't worry, I've got plenty of bad things to say about her. Trust me, I do. But at least she wasn't a cackling dimwit. We've seen Trump do better. Trump did not totally suck for Trump last night, but we've seen him do better. He did not totally dominate the debate. So we'll see what happens. You know, I don't trust what polls do, but in the end of this, I'm thinking, you know, there might be a few people who had their minds changed one way or the other, but most of all, I don't think anyone's mind was really changed on this debate last night. Now, as far as poor performance, also ABC News fact-checking the hell out of Donald Trump and not fact-checking her at all. Or even calling her out on the fact that she never answered a question. To give you an example of that, and I can give you many, because many times throughout the debate, she just did not answer a question. But let's take a look at the very first question of last night's debate. And you tell me if you think she answered the question. I'm not even going to play the whole thing because she goes on for a while, but you get the idea.
Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
Which has nothing to do with the question.
And I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America.
Which has nothing to do with the question.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
Good for you. That has nothing to do with the question.
And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy.
Which has nothing to do with the question.
We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive.
She goes on and on like this. She never gets to the question. She just rambles on like that. And, I mean, good for her. You have a plan to help the American. Are we better off? Yes or no? And if we're not, why not? What do you plan to do about it? And she just rambles on and never answers the question. The next thing I noticed in last night's debate is, and I'm going to pick on Harris again for this one, is just how the lies and misrepresentation, because they fact-checked the hell out of Trump. And Trump did not get all of his facts straight, just so you know. There's things that he said that just weren't true. But, okay, he's prone to exaggeration, I've noticed, for one thing. But, yeah, he did not get all of his facts straight. But ABC did not fact-check Harris. So then there was this.
And I pledge to you when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
Pause. And Trump is going to get to this. She can't do that. The court has ruled abortion is to be handled by the states. So she's not going to be able to get it through Congress, any kind of a bill to federalize, legalize abortion on the federal level. She can't do that because the courts have already ruled that it's a states' rights issue. But hang on, there's more.
But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban.
Okay, that is just flat out a lie, but moving on.
Understand, in his Project 2025...
Next, he doesn't know what 2025 is. Project 2025 is something what is that, folks? Is that something Democrats made up? Trump has talked about that repeatedly as in, I have no idea what that is. But they keep bringing that up as if that's a Trump thing.
There would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
Flat out a lie.
I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. And
and then they go on to ask Trump there, but would you sign, could you do a national abortion? He can't, and he flat out says that. The courts have ruled. It goes back to the states. And this is where I think a lot of people misunderstand the whole abortion issue, that the courts did not ban abortion. They sent it back to the states, and even Trump talked about this. Different states can do different things. Some states, it's legal, and if you want one, go get it. Other states, tough restrictions. Some states, like Wyoming here, want to ban it altogether, except in extreme cases. It depends on who you're talking about. But my point in all of this is the amount of lies that she told, and she was not fact-checked on. So it was up to Trump to do so, okay. But if ABC is going to fact-check him, how come they're not fact-checking her? But still, the closing argument was another thing that I want to get into here, because when I listened to the closing arguments from both of them, Harris at least had a closing argument that was prepared, and I was annoyed by her she promised, and she can't deliver on any of those promises. If I went back and played it for you, she made a lot of promises. She can't deliver on any of those promises. Trump, on the other hand, really didn't have a closing argument. He went after her and talked about how horrible things are under Biden and Harris, and then rambled on about, how he's a better choice, but he really didn't have a thought-out argument. So it sounded more like he was rambling, which is why I say I've seen Trump do better, and he could have done a whole lot better, but he didn't that night. So in the end, I know both sides like to declare victory over this. Here's how I think this really needs to play out if Trump wants to be the winner here. And I'm not saying he's losing, because he's not, but he's not winning either at this point. He's really going to have to find a way to reach the American people beyond the press, beyond the news media. Ronald Reagan did the same thing. Of course, Ronald Reagan used the mail. He used actually U.S. Postal Service and mailed to people to get around the news media. But however it's done, Trump needs to make a case, and he's got a very short time to do it in, because there's always those swing voters. Those swing voters are the ones who don't pay attention. You call them low information voters. They don't pay attention until the very last minute. And then they step in to figure out who they want to vote for and make up their mind. So right now they don't even know. And that's who both sides are going after right now. DJ and Gillette, let me see, Project 2025. I'll go ahead and take a look at that. Common Sense and Cheyenne, the best thing she said that the end was, why haven't you already? Oh, yeah. The best thing Trump said is, why haven't you already done it? Which I agree with. Oh, Rianne in Fort Danger couldn't watch. Constant line, such BS. You're absolutely right. DJ and Gillette sent me something on Project 2025. This is from the Heritage Foundation. Okay. Because even I took a look at that, and I go, I'm sorry, I keep hearing people bring that up. What is that? And even Trump has been saying, the hell is that? Okay. I tell you what, DJ, this is a good thing. I'll go ahead and deal with this next. The stories Democrats tell about Project 2025. Okay. And this is from the Heritage Foundation, because it's something that Democrats keep bringing up. And again, Trump keeps saying, what are you talking about? What is that? But they swear, just like they swear he plans to ban abortion as soon as he gets in, which he knows he can't do. Trump doesn't want to do that, and he can't do that. Just like Harris says she wants to make sure to pass a law legalizing abortion federally, nationally, across the nation. But she can't do that because the courts have already ruled on it. 6:17 is the time. I'm going to remind you throughout the day, today's 9/11. That's the date. And we need to remember. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.
Got something to say? Call 888-97-WOODS or chat with Glenn on the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app from K2 Radio.
I'm so happy to be here. Yeah. I'm just happy to be here. Still I know the world's on fire, the situation's dire. A lot of work and courage gonna be required, but I'm just happy to be here.
6:24 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Okay, thanks for the help, everybody. Because during the course of last night's debate, once again, Kamala Harris brings up, well, this Project 2025. And as I've said before, Trump has multiple times said, what is that? I don't know what that is. Well, he's going to impose that on everybody. What is that? He doesn't know. Okay, so thank you for that, DJ. I'm going to read that from the Heritage Foundation. And let's see, Red and Casper, Project 2025 was written by the Heritage Foundation, basically contains a bunch of extreme government overreach policies that are way to the right. So, with that in mind, let's go to what the Heritage Foundation wrote. This is what DJ sent me. Wall Street Journal editorial page should be commended for dispelling fears about Project 2025. Who's afraid of Project 2025 is their overlook. A mandate for leadership has been publicly available for more than a year, but the left decided to train its fire on us only after President Biden's disastrous debate performance. Since then, MSNBC has mentioned Project 2025 more than 1,500 times. Vice President Kamala Harris and the rest of the mainstream media are no better. They fearmonger relentlessly about Project 2025, making false claims after false claim. They most likely do so because it represents the greatest threat to power of their undemocratic administrative state. Some of the claims are serious, such as the notion that Project 2025 suggests and cuts to Social Security. As your editor points out, Project 2025 actually disappointed some conservatives because it did not propose any cuts to Social Security. Some claims are ridiculous, like the idea that we believe the only valid family is a working father and married stay-at-home mother and children. Quote, my own parents were divorced and I was raised with the help of my grandparents. Other downright lies, such as the claim that Project 2025 was created by Donald Trump. Both Heritage and Mr. Trump have made it extremely clear that's not the case. The truth is, says this author, since President Ronald Reagan took office in 1981, the Heritage Foundation has published a new mandate for leadership every 4 years to serve as a stockpile of conservative policy recommendations from which our leaders can pick and choose. Then, as now, most reasonable Americans could find some proposals they like and some they don't like, and that's okay. He writes, we welcome the disagreement because we believe Americans deserve a real Democrat debate on important policy issues, not leaders who choose in backroom deals and run for their records. So border czar Mrs. Harris and her cronies continue to lie about Project 2025, but it will only underscore their dishonesty and failure, says this office. And okay, little bit better understanding there. Oh, also, Red Wing in Hawk Springs. How about when the moderators started arguing and debating with Trump? Yeah. ABC was not a good pick for the debate last night. They really weren't. Especially not just arguing with Trump there, but also how about fact-checking Harris, but fact-checking Trump and never fact-checking Harris. Or, for that matter, calling her out the numerous times she didn't answer questions. I mean, on and on the list goes. But I still go back to, you tell me what you thought. But my thought was, after watching the debate, we were hoping Trump would just really bring his A game and be devastating. And I thought for Trump, he was mediocre. And Harris, who usually is a cackling idiot, still was, but didn't appear to be as much of a cackling idiot as she usually did. And so I walked away going, I don't think either of them really looked all that good last night, was my impression of the debate. Coming up on 6:30, local news coming away after local news update on the weather forecast, and you and I get back into it again. 888-97 Woods, the phone number, 888-97-WOODS. Or do what everybody else is doing here. Pick up your Wake Up Wyoming app. Download it if you haven't already. Just hit the chat option and toss me a text message. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Now, Glenn Woods fits in your pocket with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030, K2 Radio.
6:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. So, all right, we're going through a little bit of the debate for those people that are just joining me. Paul in Casper, speaking of Kamala, says she thinks she is Obama with her hand gestures. Did you notice that the Queen of the Venn diagrams loves to tell American people the phrase, but understand this, as if you're so stupid you need to be educated with revisionist history. And I do notice that she's not mansplaining, she's womansplaining to everybody. And that was typical of Obama, too. Obama would womansplain to everybody. Well, I can't say Obama was mansplaining. But, no, you don't understand. We're smarter than you, so we need to explain this to you. So, Red and Casper, he says, I don't think the debate is going to convince anyone to change their vote. Harris basically had a checklist of rehearsed quotes that other people used historically. Trump took the bait a few times and exaggerated. Basically, the two people bickered with misleading information. I agree with you, Red. I think that's the way. Let's see. Jude and Casper says Trump was cut off, and they let her run on and on. No, ABC was not fair to Trump at all. Big Red in Hot Springs seems to me like her answers were rehearsed and practiced too much, though they did not know. Well, and let me go back to that. I'm going to play this again just because you said that. Let's go back to the first question of the debate, and I'm not going to play the whole thing. But notice how rehearsed this is and how it doesn't answer the question.
Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid.
No one cares.
And
that's
I
not
am
the
actually
question.
the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working
people. Which has nothing to do with the question.
I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people.
Still has nothing to do with the question.
I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing. And the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many
She's still
people.
not answering the question. Here again, that's a very rehearsed response. She's practiced that, obviously. And it has nothing to do with what was asked of her. And that's what she did throughout most of the night. So I'll go with Red on this one. He said, I don't think the debate's going to convince anyone to change their vote. And yeah, basically, Harris was really well rehearsed and she did have a lot of facial expressions and smiles and, raised eyebrows whenever Trump was speaking. There seemed to be a lot of, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Kind of expressions. Oh, you're just an idiot kind of expressions. That seemed to be really well rehearsed too. But no, Trump really didn't bring his A game, and she was really rehearsed, and the two bickered back and forth, and nothing was settled. So anyone who's coming into this who doesn't pay attention to politics, and that's a lot of people who don't pay attention to politics until the last minute, so they don't know who to vote for. That's a good chunk of people. That's who both of those are after. I would say mostly after last night, not a lot changed. Now, I know right away we're going to get the polls. And the polls are going to say, and the polls are going to say, and the polls are going to say, and the polls are garbage. What Trump, I think, needs to do from this moment on is really ramp it up, which I expect he was going to do anyway, and bring his A game. More than anything, he needs to sound like the adult in the room, be responsible, the adult in the room, and show the American people what he wants to do to improve our situations. Why the last administration was so bad and what he plans to do to fix it. And he's got just a few weeks to make that case, and he can. And then if he can, he's got those voters. Okay? But if he fails to bring that argument, and the media is not going to help him, by the way, if he fails to bring that argument to the American people, then we wind up with a Harris president. That's where we are, I think, right now. DJ in Gillette, he said Harris and Trump were elected. Not sure what you're talking about. I'll have to go back to see your last comment, DJ. Joel in Casper. Good morning, Glenn. Did you notice on the very first question of the debate how he misspoke? Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. I understand what you're saying now. Let me go back and play that again. I think I know what you're talking about here. He probably did, yeah. Hang on, I'm setting this up for it to go ahead and play. We can hear it real quick.
Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent...
Yeah, okay, I understand. Yeah, he did. You and President Trump were elected 4 years ago. Yeah, that was a mistake on his part. And I don't expect these guys to be perfect. I don't mind if the moderator makes the occasional mistake now and then. I do. Everybody who speaks for a living does. What I mind is constantly fact-checking one candidate, Trump, and not the other. Arguing with Trump, but not giving Harris a hard time for not answering any questions. You get where I'm going with this. It was not a fairly moderated debate. 642, it's ABC News. What do you expect? It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Local and mobile across Wyoming and beyond with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
6:48 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to the ice box where Frank Gambino is waiting by. Okay, so Frank, I think I might have a good one to start your day this morning.
You think?
Put you in a good mood here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm ready for that.
Survey says nearly half of all men think they can safely land an airplane.
No.
Actually.
They may think they can.
Actually, I'm going to blow your mind with this one. There was a time back when it was on, we're talking jetliner, folks, like you're going cross country, when no way in hell. Today, more and more airplanes have a big red button that if something happens to the pilot or pilots, you can go push that button and the computer will handle it.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so...
And I've also heard that these computers will land the plane with either 3 feet of the left or 3 feet of the right of the center of the runway.
So what they do is the airplane will look for the closest airport that can handle that size airplane. Mm-hmm. It then starts to squawk emergency codes and stuff like that. It even does weather avoidance. And then, it comes down and does a fairly nice landing. I mean, not the smoothest one, but it's a good landing, and everybody's going to get down safe. So can any man do that? Yes. If there's a big red button up there, you go right ahead. Yes.
If you have to do it manually the old-fashioned way.
No way.
No,
you're just not.
I wouldn't try it.
No,
not with it. No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, I would say this, Frank. If you're going to die, what do you got to lose? Go ahead and try it. What you do is you get on the microphone because air traffic is listening, and you say, "Help! What do I do?" And they will talk you through it.
Yeah, you know what I see this? You ever see that scene in the movie Mad
yes.
World?
Yes, it's like that. Okay, but here's the next thing, though. Even without the big red button, so much of it is computerized. So all you have to do is they will tell you, go down to that little computer box and select the following approach for that airport. And the computer knows how to approach the airport. Your job is going to make sure the gear is down, the flaps are down, and then here's the hard part. You've got to do the touchdown. The airplane, though, will do the entire approach for you. It's that landing that you got to do, Frank, and that's where you might screw things up.
Yeah. And I wouldn't even attempt it.
Yes,
and my brother is thousands of hours as a commercial pilot. And he says, it's not as easy as it looks sometimes.
Yeah. So what we've learned here is if Frank is in the airplane, he's just resigned himself that he's going to die.
Yeah. But if the pilot is incapacitated and the other guy is too, who's going to press the red button?
Well, that would be you, Frank.
No, I'm not going in there.
Oh, okay.
The door is locked.
If Frank is on the plane with you, you're all going to die. That's what we've learned here today.
Another round of high school football coming up on Friday. The big game in 4A will have defending champions Sheridan on the road in Casper to meet Natrona. Both teams are 2-0 on the year. Sheridan beat Thunder Basin last week, and NC prevailed over Rock Springs. 2-0 Cheyenne East will host Thunder Basin on Friday. Cheyenne South will be in Casper to meet Kelly Walsh. A game, if Kelly Walsh will win, would pretty much secure a playoff spot for them. So they're 1-1 going into the game, and South has absorbed 2 huge losses so far this season. Cheyenne Central will be in Laramie. Both teams are 0-2, and Rock Springs will be at Campbell County in the other 4A game on Friday. College football, the Wyoming Cowboys will try and rebound from 2 bad losses. They'll host BYU on Saturday night. Wyoming fans have no love lost for BYU, that's for sure. And the last time the Cougars were in Laramie was back in 2009, and BYU won that game 52-0. UW's had a difficult time with BYU over the years, losing 12 of the last 13 matchups and 18 of the last 20. Cougars are 2-0, and they're coming off an 18-15 road win over SMU in a game where BYU's offense looked just as bad as Wyoming's offense has been looking. And the Cowboys have a lot of things to fix on the offensive end, and BYU's defense held SMU to 5 field goals in that game. BYU is a 10.5-point favorite in Saturday night's game. That's a 7 p.m. start from War Memorial Stadium. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. High school volleyball, Laramie is 11-0 so far this season. They'll host Cheyenne South tonight. South comes in at 2-11. The Bison will host Thunder Basin on Friday. And the Kelly Walsh is 9-2. They'll host Cody tomorrow. Then on Friday, Cheyenne East at 8-5. They'll be at Sheridan. Cheyenne Central at 4-7. They will be on the road at Gillette. And Natrona 6-5, and they'll be at Green River. And Kelly Walsh will be at Rock Springs. High school cross country, Gillette will host a meet tomorrow. Kelly Walsh will be in that. Gillette will be in the Bighorn meet on Friday. Natrona with a long road trip to compete in the Bozeman, Montana meet on Friday. Then on Saturday, Cheyenne East, Cheyenne Central, and Laramie will be in the Liberty Ball meet in Littleton, Colorado. That's it in sports.
Okay. So, boy, you've gotten really busy here over the past 2 weeks.
It's been
school starts. Has school started?
Well, of course it has. There's been high school sports.
Yeah, no. They start some high school sports before school starts.
It's the middle of September.
Okay, I don't know.
They better be in school.
I don't know. I even see the school buses go by. I'm here at work. But no, there are sports that starts before school starts. Okay,
but if these kids need to be in school after Labor Day.
Oh God, okay.
That's what I think. Labor Day, you're in school.
See, I'm the guy. Every time I do see a school bus go by, I always feel like they're going to be looking for me because I'm supposed to be on it. There's no way I should have graduated.
Were you playing hooky half the time?
I don't. No, I think I am now.
Well,
yeah. I mean, how the hell, even at my age, did they let me out?
You're never too old to learn.
Well, I learn all the time, Frank. I just shouldn't have graduated. All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. I didn't know schools. I don't pay it. I don't know. I'm here at work. I don't see the school buses. So Wake Up Wyoming.
Watts.
The time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Wednesday, so over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Firefly Energy Drinks, made with real fireflies. It burns so good.
Yeah, it does. And then you'll have problems afterwards. Okay, I'll jump to open phones right now because I know that people want to talk about the debate. We had a conversation about the debate in the first hour of the program. You're welcome to get in on it. Either text me using the Wake Up Wyoming app or 888-97-WOODS is the phone number. If there's anything else you want to talk about, that's just fine, too. James is in Casper. Hello, James.
Hello, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I got a letter yesterday from Trona County talking about this so-called solar farm they're wanting to put up west of Casper, east of Trona, just south of US 26. Talking about putting up solar cells on over 2,000 acres of grazing land for cattle.
Right.
Now, you were talking about, thieves stealing copper and things like that. If they put up a fence around this so-called solar farm to keep people out, they're cutting off over 2,000 acres of grazing land for cattle.
Mm-hmm.
And how are they going to maintain all that? They're going to have to clean the solar cells from dust and dirt in the summer and snow in the winter. It isn't green. It isn't sustainable. What's going to happen when the subsidies run out?
Right, yeah. And there you go. When the subsidies run out, at some point there's going to have to be a cleanup on this. Now, Wyoming does have laws in place. If you want to put in an oil or a gas well or a wind turbine or a solar farm, money has to be set aside. So if it doesn't work out, the company goes bankrupt, the subsidies run out, whatever the case is, they have to come in and clean all of that up. In the meantime, though, I think you've nailed it. It's not clean, it's not green, it's not sustainable, it's not reliable, it's not affordable. In fact, to create the same amount of power, you could go ahead and put even more power, in fact. If they built another natural gas or coal-fired power plant, it would be on much less land than what you're talking about and create far more power. So if they really wanted to be efficient about this, they wouldn't go with solar. But, James, the subsidies are rolling in, and there's some people who want that money.
I understand that, but yet the solar cells are going to be made from rare earth minerals, which are mainly mined in China. So that puts us in, China being in control of us.
Right.
Which is not a friendly nation.
Right.
And even a coal pit, with them mining coal, when they're done, they fill it in, so you don't even know that the coal was there.
Right. Well, as far as solar panels go, there's those people who want to keep it in the ground. As far as coal, since you mentioned that, you can't make solar panels without the use of petroleum and coal. So in order to make this solar farm, they're going to have to continue not just mining for rare earth minerals, which we do have a lot of in Wyoming, by the way, but they're also going to have to continue mining for petroleum or drilling for petroleum and mining for coal in order to make those solar cells. So I don't understand how they expect to keep everything in the ground.
Anyway, I see the solar panel farm as nothing more than a boondoggle and someone just trying to
I agree with you.
Fixing off all the subsidies they can get before they have to shut it down.
Yeah, before it does. All right. Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Now, this is one that's going in the Trona County area. And there's also another big one they're trying to get off the ground. It would be east of Cheyenne, Wyoming, a big solar farm they want to put up out there, which is not just prime grazing area. And they say, oh, don't worry, cattle can graze around here. No. If all that land is covered up by solar cells, grass isn't going to grow underneath it. We need sunlight to grow grass. And all those solar cells are blocking all the sunlight. And then also the one that's east of Cheyenne would be in Hale Alley. So that's a real smart idea, right? But James is also right. What are they going to do when they get a lot of dirt? 'Cause I've noticed this. I moved to Wyoming, I think around 16 years ago, a little over 16 years. And one of the first things I noticed is I have the hardest time keeping my car clean. Because especially when in the windy seasons, there's always that dust blowing around, and my car is always dirty, no matter what I do to it. If I'm running through a car wash, the next day it's dirty again. So there's that, and I have to constantly keep them clean. Right. Then we got the problems with the wind and the snow and the ice and et cetera, et cetera. But as I was just saying to James, as long as those subsidies continue rolling in, people will continue to do stuff like this. This is a heavily subsidized industry. But it has been shown over and over again, whenever the money from the government runs out, these projects go out of business because they're not profitable. Then we're left with a bunch of wind and solar farms standing around not making any money. Now, what's supposed to happen is if they're not making any money and the company's gone out of business, then it gets dismantled. That's what's supposed to happen, and they're supposed to put money aside in a trust to make sure that the money's there to do the cleanup. So we'll see if that happens. But, yeah, and then what about all the grazing land, too? Because that is a lot of grazing land out there that could have been used for something useful, like cattle, for example. There's a lot of things that could be done with that land instead of this. Dave is in Mills. Hello, Dave.
How are you this morning?
Good, sir. What you got for me?
Well, on the solar panel thing, from what I've read, they're saying they're going to put them out on grazing land. Underneath those solar panels, it gets so hot that it sterilizes the ground, and it's not good for anything after that.
Right. Well, and that's where the one is supposed to be east of Cheyenne. The company that wants to put it in there showed a picture. It's not a real picture of cattle underneath. It was just something they put together to demonstrate. Here's what can happen. And we're going to build these panels high enough that cattle will be able to graze underneath. Well, again, if the grass is being shaded by the panels, can the grass grow? And the answer would be no. Because, as you're saying, the heat under there, yeah, but also it's in the shade. You're not going to get grass down. So what are the cows going to eat?
Well, here's another thought while we're on that. If they put it up that high and it's that hot, you were talking about putting restaurants along windmills.
Yeah.
Well, you could just sell barbecue sauce under there and have a constant barbecue.
Okay.
There's your $1 million idea.
Okay. See, now, yeah, that my idea was for wind turbines because with the wind turbines, at least we get fresh bird kill.
Right. Well, this way you have fresh cattle that you barbecue.
Well, there you go. Okay. Yeah, we can just go ahead and grill them right there on the solar panels. All right, Dave. I appreciate that. All right. So now what he's talking about, well, here's a business idea that I had.
Jenkins! Yes, sir? Yes, sir?
Jenkins, I have an idea.
I'm afraid already, sir.
I want to open up a restaurant chain with the lowest cost overhead ever.
Oh, sir, that's nearly impossible in today's economy, and most new restaurants fail. You know that.
Locate each restaurant chain in the middle of wind farms. Then we serve fresh bird kill.
Wow! That really does cut costs. But won't PETA try to shut us down?
Oh, they can't object, because all the food is provided by green and sustainable energy.
And since a lot of endangered birds are killed by wind turbines, you can say your menu is full of rare delicacies.
I see no downside to this.
Except that you can only be open when the wind is blowing, or you won't have fresh kill or power to cook
We
it.
can always have diesel backup generators to turn the turbines when the wind isn't blowing.
Sir, I really think this idea will finally lead this company into bankruptcy.
Oh, no. You see, since we're running on wind power and serving endangered species, we can apply for unlimited grants and subsidies. Who cares if we have any customers at all?
And I bet you're planning to staff the place with illegal immigrants.
Yes, and recent college graduates who can find a job to fit their degree. Now, how much do you think we'll get from the feds?
Sir, we're going to be rich.
What do you mean, we?
Well, that image is going to stick with you all day. If it's happening in Wyoming, it's on Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods from K2 Radio. Join the conversation at 888-97-WOODS.
Time, Wake Up Wyoming, back to the phones I go where Dave is waiting by. I just want everybody to know as I bring Dave up here, not all Daves are bad guys, just that one from San Francisco. Dave from Guernsey's okay. Hi, Dave.
Hi, Glenn. How are you doing?
Good, sir. What you got?
Hey, did you catch last night during the debate on how many times they addressed Trump as President Trump?
Yes, I did, and I was hoping it would stick with people.
Yeah, because I don't know, I counted half a dozen times.
Yes. Well, it does. Now, that is actually something they should do as protocol. Even though he's an ex-president, he gets the title for life. So you still call him President Trump.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe they just were wishing.
Well, I doubt that. Yeah. I doubt ABC was wishing that, but it is protocol that he gets that title for life.
Gotcha. I wasn't aware of that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks, Glenn.
All right. Thanks for calling. That is something I did notice, too, that they kept saying President Trump. But, that is a protocol thing. Anyone who is a president and they no longer have the job for whatever reason, they still have the title of president with them for life. So that's why they referred to him as President Trump. Let's see. As to the debate, Greg from Cheyenne. Glenn, I did not watch the debate between Trump and Harris, ABC team. Better things to do, like watching barn kittens chase grasshoppers. I'm with you on that. That would have been a lot more fun. And you can chime in on this because I talked about it first hour of the program. My impression of the debate last night is, first off, Harris, and I played some examples of this earlier this morning, Harris avoided every question. Ask her any question, and she just talked about something else. She also lied a lot, especially about what Trump thinks. Like, for example, Project 2025. That's not a thing with Trump. No, he doesn't want a national sales tax. That's actually, check out fairtax.org. That's something Democrats in general keep lying about. She lied about Trump wants to ban abortion on the federal level. No, he doesn't, and he explained why he doesn't. So she continued to lie. Yes, Trump tends to exaggerate, and so when ABC fact-checked him, I think that's fair, because there are times that Trump is explaining something and he goes overboard with it, and he ought to be fact-checked and reined back in. But on the other hand, ABC didn't fact-check Harris on anything. There was a lot of bickering back and forth. So my impression, but you tell me, all right, my impression, Trump did not bring his A game. I wish he could have gone out there and dominated. I've seen him better. He didn't bring his A game. Harris, on the other hand, while we were expecting the usual cackling idiot, she was much more well-rehearsed. They spent a lot of time rehearsing her. Now, who won? I don't think either one did. Personally, I think they both looked really not so good. Not very impressed with either one of them. And I know the Trump supporters out there would like to hear something different, but my impression of last night was I was not impressed with either one of them. So, if Trump wants, and ABC News just sucks. They really do. So if Trump wants to win this thing, because at this point, there's a lot of those, I know the Democrats have already decided, those who have decided, they're done. They've already decided. Trump, you Trump supporters, you're all in for Trump. You got him. He's your guy. Okay. Then there's those people, those low-information voters, who, for most of the year, they really don't pay much attention to anything that's going on. That's why we call them low-information voters. And it's not that they're bad people. In most cases, they're not. A lot of these people are your friends and neighbors. And you like them. They just don't pay attention to politics because politics annoys them. When it gets this close to election time, they realize, I'm going to have to make up my mind here, aren't I? And so now they finally start to pay attention. And they have no idea what's good or bad about either one. So they're going to sit down and watch a debate and watch television commercials. And they usually make up their mind based on the worst possible metrics. You know, what they read in the news, what television commercial they saw, what they saw on the debate. Instead of really, like most of you who listen to talk radio, who really get into the nitty-gritty details of things. These people haven't. But those are the ones who have to be convinced in order to win a race. So here's just my impression from here out. Forget the polls, especially after a debate. You're going to have to put up with for the next couple of days. And the polls say, screw the polls. What Trump needs to do, speaking of A game, is really bring his A game for the next few weeks leading up to the election. Really bring it and make the case. He does that. He can land this. He really can. Right now, though, while he's doing well, the Democrats have a strategy. I don't care if it's based on truth or not. That has nothing to do with it. It's trying to capture those middle people who never really think about politics until the last minute. Rick is in Cheyenne. Morning, Rick.
Good morning, Glenn. Hey, I did not watch the debate last night. I did my most hated chore and painted because I felt it would be a lot better than watching two kindergartners go at each other and try to demean one another to prove who could out-demean the other.
Yes, that's what most of the debate was, frankly. So you did a good thing. Do you already have your mind made up?
Yeah, just, I just can't go that direction. I'm not really a partisan person.
Okay.
But I just don't see her having the wherewithal to be able to handle situations in 2 o'clock in the morning. Or, and she's just, I'm all about, if we can find a woman that could be president, like maybe Tulsi Gabbard, I would put up before I would ever even think or imagine putting up Kamala Harris.
Okay. All right, Rick. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. And there's someone who he's not as partisan as many of you who are listening are, just to be fair about it. He's not all that partisan, but he's looking at Harris going, yeah, but I don't think she can cut it as a presidential candidate. So, but at that point, though, why bother? If you've already made up your mind, why even bother watching the debate? Here's DJ and Gillette again. The wrong Trump showed up, says DJ. If he were the happy warrior against the 3 opponents, he would have nailed it. Yeah, and there's the thing. Okay, it was Trump against 3 opponents because there was ABC brought 2 moderators, and then there was Harris, and there was Trump against the 3 of them. Now, Trump on his A game, yeah, he can handle that. But again, he just didn't bring it last night. I was expecting to see a much stronger Trump, but I've seen him do better. And so while, again, I don't think he sucked, but he's not Trump at his best. And Harris, well, still, there is no Harris at her best, but she was better than we've seen her before. Still, though, I think the whole debate was a general washout. If you're someone who's undecided, my advice, if I could give you some, if you don't mind, do not make up your mind off of last night's debate. That's just not something you should make up. Use other things to figure out who you should vote for, because as far as I'm concerned, last night's debate it just sucked. It was garbage. Coming up on 7:30, local news coming your way. After local news, update on the weather forecast. I do want to take a minute after local news. Today's date is 9/11. To remember that. Let's Wake Up Wyoming.
Where Wyoming comes to talk. This is Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods on K2 Radio. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS.
2 planes have crashed into the Twin Towers. Also an explosion and fire at the Pentagon.
Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
The second that I heard the noise, I knew a disaster was about to happen.
And I saw the plane hit the building. I can't say anything.
I heard people shouting. I stopped at like 68, and there's a woman in a wheelchair, and I got her in the strap wheelchair and just carried her down the steps and carried her down 68 floors, man.
Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror.
It just blew up. A big explosion. People started running. It was just chaos everywhere.
The northeast corner has exploded in the most incredible explosion. Flames are flying out of the building. They're 5-10 stories high now. Black billowing smoke. The building corner, the whole entire corner is gone.
The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings.
I can see a huge chunk of airplane that's about appears to be maybe 10 feet in from the skin of the tower. The second tower has exploded from about the 20 stories below in a gargantuan explosion. Oh my God, I don't believe it!
Fires burning, huge structures collapsing.
The entire building
has just collapsed, as if a demolition team set off. When you see the old demolitions of these old buildings, it folded down on itself, and it is not there anymore.
This is a day when all Americans from every walk of life unite in our resolve for justice and peace.
During the course of the 90 minutes, from when the first plane struck the towers until the second tower collapsed, there were countless acts of heroism committed by those who never made it out of the buildings.
A tragedy like this could have torn our country apart, but instead it has united us, and we've become a family.
None of us will ever forget this day. I've directed the full resources of our intelligence and law enforcement communities to find those responsible and to bring them to justice.
Let this day always be a reminder to our nation, to the world, why we fight in freedom's cause.
September 11th will always be a national day of remembrance in honor of the thousands of men and women who were killed, some because they simply lived in freedom, others because they were sworn to defend freedom, many because they worked in great symbols of freedom.
Thank you. Good night, and God bless America.
Our nation experienced an unprecedented attack on our freedom. Although the healing process goes on, we must never forget what happened on that September day.
Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Were you in the yard with your wife and children, or working on some stage in L.A.? Did you stand there in shock at the sight of that black smoke rising against that blue sky? Did you shout out in anger and fear for your neighbor, or did you just sit down and cry? Did you weep for the children who lost their dear loved ones, pray for the ones who don't know? Did you rejoice for the people who walked from the rubble and sobbed for the ones left below? Did you burst out with pride for the red, white, and blue, and the heroes who died just doing what they do? Did you look up to heaven for some kind of answer, and look at yourself and what really matters? I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day?
A whole lot going on in the world right now, and even here in America, so many things we have to pay attention to. This is one we need to stop and pause for just a minute. Even with the debates last night and other news that I want to talk to you about during the course of the morning here, I know it's important today just to stop and remember for a little while what happened. And it was one of those moments that actually did, for a time, bring Americans together for a while. We're sharply divided since then. But for that short period of time, we actually came together as Americans, as a family.
Honestly, he's just happy to be here. Catch Glenn Woods on Wake Up Wyoming, weekdays at 6 on air, on Alexa, and on the Wake Up Wyoming app.
7:45 is the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Don Watts, who's with Day Weather. So, Don, you now have to take over for the next few days while Don Day's out of town, and he gave you the most boring weather forecast for the next few days. I don't know what you do with this.
Well, you do with it what you can. The pieces are there, so you just kind of
ham and egg it, if you will. We do have some breezy winds today, but yeah, really not a whole lot going on. I think a lot of the activity is going to be hitting western parts of the state. Scattered rain showers moving around Jackson Hole and the mountains and valleys so far today.
Okay, and that is good news that some of that wet is moving right over where those fires are there, and there's a few new ones that have popped up around Thermopolis, so maybe that'll help just a little bit. Now, this coolness that's coming in, they get more of it than we do out in here in the east, don't they?
Yeah, the mountains in the valleys around western Wyoming, Idaho, western Montana, they're going to kind of get a shock to the system. It'll be a brief one, but the main system is still spinning over the Pacific Northwest. It'll move inland today, then lift east and northeast across the interior region tomorrow and for Friday. And it's going to have a shallow, cool air mass with it, enough perhaps to maybe give the mountain areas a little snowfall, especially tomorrow, rain in the valleys.
Okay. Now, what about, let's go to the east side again here. It looks like we might get a little bit of rain. It's not like we're completely dry, right?
Not completely dry, but it is widely scattered. And in fact, even though we do have a little influx of moisture coming in east of the Continental Divide, the showers and thunderstorms may not necessarily be heavy rain producers unless you get one or two that kind of park in place in one spot and dump a brief heavier shower. But that's really about it. Otherwise, it's going to be here and gone pretty much just as quickly.
Now, I know it's just Wednesday here. We got a few days go, but people are hoping while Don's out of town, you'll program for us a really nice weekend.
Well, the machine is working quite well, so I think we can certainly do that. I think this weekend is looking a lot like last weekend. Sunshine, mild temps, talking 80s in the plains. And that'll probably last into Monday, but we are looking at another potentially more sustained cool down, a little more seasonal, mostly in the 60s and 70s next Tuesday through Friday.
Okay, and real quick while I have you there, looks like there's going to be a hurricane hitting around the Louisiana area.
Yeah, the eye of the storm is still in the Gulf Coast, but the initial storm surge is starting to impact the coastline and expected to make landfall later today.
All right. Thank you, Don. Appreciate you filling in for Don Day. So, there's not a lot happening in the weather over the next few days, but it is at least nice weather. Off we go to the ice box to talk to Frank Gambino. You're going to love the headline. I guarantee you. I'll give you $10 if you don't love this headline.
All right,
Ready?
$10.
Okay. 84-year-old Florida woman fights off 7-foot alligator while walking her dog.
Fights it off.
Yes. Now, she has
one of those. What, her cane?
I would have used the dog.
Or her walker?
It's one of those little, they call it a Shih Tzu. I'm not sure if I can say that word on the air. And I'm thinking, she should have just taken the dog leash and swung the dog around and hit the alligator in the head a few times. But okay. Her name is Doris.
Hi, Doris.
Yeah, of course it is. And again, 84 years old, walking her dog near. Now, this is where I'm from, Fort Myers, Florida. Sanibel's off the coast.
Yep.
7-foot alligator looked at that little dog as a snack. I would say like an appetizer.
Glenn.
The size of that dog. Yes.
In Florida.
Yes.
Where I've seen. There are signs.
Yes.
Do not walk your dog close to the water.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
There's signs there.
So here's the part that I like. After she threw the dog out of harm's way, the alligator grabbed her leg and tried to tug her toward the water, and she started kicking with her other leg in the face. And after a while, the alligator had just had enough and just went back to the water all by herself. She's in good spirits. She's in the hospital getting her leg taken care of.
Well, yeah, I mean, the gator chomped on an 84-year-old ankle.
Is it right? Well, now, I look at this, I would advise the gator of this. If you want a snack, I understand going after the dog. Again, that's just a bit of an appetizer. That's going to whet your appetite.
But don't take on Grandma.
Now, Grandma's leg, on the other hand, I mean, really, how much meat is on that bone? I mean,
nothing.
It's not really, no. So what are you planning to do with that? In which case, if I were the alligator, I would have looked at the little old lady and thought, well, I'm not even going to bother with that. He's going to spend so much time chewing on the thing, and he's really not going to get any nutrition out of it. So don't bother trying to chew on Grandma's leg. But, yeah.
My guess is that, she's 84. She's probably lived in Florida her whole life.
Yes.
She's used to gators.
Mm-hmm.
She's not going to be intimidated by them.
Oh, no. No.
Just get away from me.
In fact, I would
get back in the water.
As you get older, Frank, I would guess that you are less and less intimidated by anything or anyone.
Well, gators are still intimidating.
Well, yeah, that's kind of true.
I've seen them. I don't want to go near them.
At some point, you've been there, you've done that, and you're just not even going to take it from anybody anymore.
Except for alligators. Another round of high school football coming up on Friday. The big game in 4A will have defending champion Sheridan on the road in Casper to meet in the Trona at 7 p.m. Both teams are 2-0 on the year. Sheridan beat Thunder Basin last week, and NC prevailed over Rock Springs. 2-0 Cheyenne East will host Thunder Basin on Friday. Cheyenne South will be in Casper to meet Kelly Walsh. A KW win in this game would pretty much secure a playoff spot for the Trojans. They're 1-1 going into the game, and South has absorbed 2 big losses so far. Cheyenne Central will be at Laramie. Both teams are 0-2, and Rock Springs over in Gillette to meet Campbell County, and the other 4A game on Friday. College football, the Wyoming Cowboys will try and rebound from 2 bad losses. They'll host BYU on Saturday night in Laramie. Wyoming fans have no love lost for BYU whatsoever. The last time BYU was in Laramie for football was in 2009, and the Cougars won that 52-0, and UW's had a difficult time with BYU over the years, losing 12 of the last 13 matchups and 18 of the last 20. Cougars are 2-0, and they're coming off an 18-15 road win over SMU in a game where BYU's offense looked just as bad as the Wyoming offense has been looking, and the Cowboys have a lot of things to fix. BYU's defense held SMU to 5 field goals in that game last week, so the Cowboys are 10.5-point underdogs, and in this game, a 7 p.m. start on Saturday at War Memorial Stadium. We'll have it for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Also, in high school volleyball, Laramie is 11-0 so far this season. They'll host Cheyenne South tonight. South comes in at 2-11. The Bison will host Thunder Basin on Friday. Kelly Walsh is 9-2 and will host Cody tomorrow. Also on Friday, Cheyenne East at 8-5 will be at Sheridan. Cheyenne Central at 4-7 at Campbell County. The Trona 6-5, they'll be at Green River, and Kelly Walsh will be at Rock Springs. High school cross country, Gillette will host a meet tomorrow. Kelly Walsh will be in that. Glen Rock will be in the Bighorn meet on Friday. And the Trona with a long road trip to Montana to compete in the Bozeman meet on Friday. Then on Saturday, Cheyenne East and Central, along with Laramie, will be in the Liberty Bell meet in Littleton, Colorado. That's it in sports.
I just came across an ad. I'm trying to find it again so I can go ahead and show it to everybody. Nobody's going to believe this. You know, every so often they take an ad for something and they try to make it sound like it's local. You know, it's like a computer program. It knows where you're from.
Yeah.
How would you like to get on a cruise liner, Frank, and take a cruise from Wyoming to Alaska?
Oh, well, yeah.
Gosh,
I mean, sure.
You know, yeah. So
I mean, we'll just cruise in the car for a while.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And then we will meet the boat in Seattle, and then we'll go.
The way to,
It's cruising.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The computer program wants to sell you a cruise, and it assumes that you can leave from your home state in the middle of the damn country. Now, we used to be underwater, but that was like millions of years ago. So I think maybe they need to upgrade the program a little bit.
Just a bit. I mean, those ships are pretty big.
Yeah,
I don't know where we'd find a spot for that.
Don't think the Platte River is going to be able to handle it.
No, I don't think so.
No. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. Update on your weather forecast. So it's national news, local news, weather forecast, open phones. Oh, we're going to hear from my friend Brianna Brand, another Meals on Wheels fundraising, which is important for the state of Wyoming. She'll explain it to you. Let's wake up, Wyoming. The time, it's Wake Up Wyoming. It is a Wednesday, and over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Firefly Energy Drinks, made with real fireflies. It burns so good.
And you'll regret it later. Off to Cheyenne, Wyoming we go. One of my favorite people in Cheyenne is waiting by, Brianna Brand with Meals on Wheels. Hope you've been well.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Anytime. So for those people who don't know, and I think most people do, for those people who don't know, Meals on Wheels does what for the community?
We home-make our meals from scratch and deliver them with a smile, ensure that people have a friendly face nutrition and safety checks if they need it.
And there's a big kitchen. I got a tour from Rianne on it. Big kitchen, lots of refrigerators and freezers that you could basically live in. Huge. And donations from all over the community in many different ways, monetarily, and I guess, even grocery stores donate to you guys, right?
No grocery stores yet.
Oh, okay.
Chick-fil-A.
But you did get hunters to donate to you. I know that.
Not even hunters yet. It's during the Laramie County Fair.
Was that what that was
the
doing?
Wyoming,
okay.
Yeah, the Wyoming Hunger Initiative. First Lady Jenny Gordon does take game meat, but because we get some federal funding, we have to have all of our meat processed through certain processing plants.
So how many people do you serve a day, average?
About 450 on average.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We're cooking about 600, a little over 600 meals a day, though.
Wow.
Because we do have grab and goes. People just walk in the door if they need food, and yeah.
Okay. And then there's all the volunteers that make sure the food gets there. How many volunteers do you think you have?
Oh, we have over 200 volunteers, and if you guys are listening right now, you are the backbone of this organization. Could not do it without you, and we always need more. The need is growing in people needing food, but we just appreciate our volunteers so very much.
Okay. So to help out Meals on Wheels in the Casper, Wyoming area, Cheyenne, Wyoming area, which I think you cover all of Laramie County, don't you?
Yes, we do, all of Laramie County.
Well, that's a big area. So what is the Hike for Hunger?
The Hike for Hunger, it's our third annual one this year. It is a time for us to raise awareness of the food insecurity that is taking place and then gather together for an event to raise funds, not only for us, but a food drive for University of Wyoming Food Pantry, LCCC Food Pantry, and Needs Incorporated. We believe that collaborating together is the best way to help our community. So it's October 5th. It's a really fun event out at the Hines Lodge and Amphitheater. There's 2 live bands, 2 half-mile guided hikes, lunch, fall family photos, rock painting, giant Connect 4. It's a really beautiful family fun event. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. We have 2 bands playing, Avenue and Sarah Slayton and the Great Perhaps. Super excited to see them. But yeah, October 5th.
October 5th.
Are you going to come?
So, let's see. What date is October 5th? Is that a weekend?
It's a Saturday.
It's a Saturday. I might be able to be there for that because I have to go down for Thankful Thursdays, which you and I bump into each other there every so often. So
all the time.
That might be a good idea. Yeah. So, okay. To participate, do I need to just show up or do I need to go to a website for this?
You can, but we would prefer if you register by September 18th. So that is just next week. So we can ensure to have your long sleeve T-shirt and your lunch order prepared for you. So you can go to our website, www.mealsonwheelsofcheyenne.com, and register there.
Okay, mealsonwheelsofcheyenne.com. Register there. As always, I have to ask about corporate sponsors because they're a big part of this.
Absolutely. We do have multiple, Warehouse 21, Chase Bank, Appaloosa Broadcasting, DACPCA, Firehouse Subs, AMB Bank, Southern Star, Lamar. I mean, you name it. They're incredible sponsors that are helping us out with the day. And then they always come out and hike with us, and it's a beautiful event.
So you can come up,
really grateful.
Show up as an individual. You can show up with a group of friends. Or you can show up as a business or organization and everybody walk together at the same time if you want to do that.
Absolutely. Yep. That's what we've had. So all of these sponsors that we have, they keep coming back year after year because it is such a cool event. It's people collaborating together, live music. I mean, the views are stunning. If you can think about the aspen groves there near Kurt Gowdy. Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
So it's an event that keeps growing and growing, and so hopefully more people will come, and hopefully you'll get to be there this year.
Yes, so let's get everybody there then. So we go to where online?
www.mealsonwheels HikeForHungerOfCheyenne.com. And there's a tab right there that says Hike for Hunger. It'll give you all the information on how to register.
Okay. And again, that could be individuals. That can be you and your friends. That could be your church or civic organization. That can be a company that you want to do. If you want to sponsor something, get a hold of them to the same for that as well. And see you guys there in October.
Absolutely.
All right.
Really excited.
Am I going to see you this Thursday night?
My son has a football game,
Oh.
so I'll be there, but briefly.
Briefly. Okay. Yeah, just make sure you run up and say hi real quick. All right. Thank you, Randy.
I will.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Glenn. You have a great
Absolutely.
day.
So we do have Meals on Wheels in different parts of Wyoming. I mean, they're all over the place, but that's the one that carries all of Laramie County and helps so many different people who just need help with a little bit of company and getting the meal. All right. Coming up on 8:13, 888-97-WOODS is the phone number. The most dangerous time for this program every single day is open phone.
Warning. Wake Up Wyoming is about to enter daily open phones. This means that anyone will be allowed to call in and talk about anything. I mean, imagine if we actually allowed you on air to say anything you wanted. Scary, right? Well, we're just that brand of crazy. If you are offended by what other people think, then maybe you want to tune out right about now. Just saying. If you should choose to call, just remember, the more funny and interesting you are, the longer Glenn will keep you on the line. Obnoxious jerks will be hung up on. Dave. All right, strap in and let's do this thing.
888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. I am going to touch on real quick for those people tuning in a little bit late. Yes, I did watch the debate. Not when you did. I watched when I get here in the morning and start my day. As I'm putting things together for the show, I would, go through and, oh God, it was not good on any level as far as I'm concerned. So just to recap some of the opinions of mine and some of the listeners from earlier this morning, don't think Trump brought his A game, but while Harris was better than usually we'd expect her to be, she's usually just a cackling moron. She was very well rehearsed. But by the end of it, though, really, between the bickering back and forth and the lies that were told, and don't think, well, only that one person lied. No, in ABC, and Harris didn't even answer a lot of questions and also lied about a lot of things that Trump believes. Trump is prone to exaggeration. He did that too. ABC News ganged up on Trump and continually fact-checked him, didn't try to fact-check anything that Harris said, even though it was constant. I don't know how she can do this. And there's so many politicians who do. Will just go ahead and fabricate whatever they think will work, and they're okay with this, and they can sleep at night. By the end of the debate, I thought to myself, if anybody wanted to make up their mind about who to vote for, don't do it off of that debate, because it was just horrible in my opinion. I don't think either of them looked really all that good, in my opinion. Okay, that's just what I thought of last night's debate. If in the time remaining before actually election day happens, these campaigns need to figure out how to reach those undecided voters. And if you're wondering who could possibly be undecided, there are people who don't pay attention to politics most of the year, not until it actually gets close to election time. Then they finally stick their head up and go, oh, okay, so what's going on? Who should I vote for? And this is how they're trying to decide now. So those are the people who we need, whoever side you're on, to get a hold of, to get their attention before they go in and vote. And both campaigns at this point better get it in gear. I mean, seriously, they don't have much time left. 8:16, Wake Up Wyoming.
Sure, this show is sustainable. We sequester all gas emissions to one room. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, live on AM 1030 and FM 95.1, weekdays at 6.
Speech, language, or swallowing disorder. An ASHA-certified speech-language pathologist can help. Visit us at asha.org/public.
Hey, 21's the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. I want to get on to something that happened during last night's debate. And the debate's not the only thing I'm talking about this morning, but this is something that happened during last night's debate, which, as Trump talked about it, Harris was looking at him and laughing like he was just some kind of an idiot. And this had to do with Haitian refugees, among other people, moving into some areas and some small towns. In fact, I talked about this yesterday. And some people's pets disappeared, and also there were some geese in a pond that disappeared. Turns out they ended up becoming dinner. And so Trump brought this up. And the news media keeps saying, well, that's been debunked. That's a lie. That's been debunked. Why does he keep bringing it up when it's been debunked? I often find whenever news media these days says that's been fact-checked, their fact-checkers need to be fired. Their fact-checkers are horrible, is often the case. J.D. Vance is doing a pretty good job. He was asked about this on CNN.
I would say is he brought up this misleading false claim that you yourself have talked about in recent days about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, abducting people's pets and eating them, which officials there have said is not true. You yourself acknowledged it may be false on Twitter. You still told people to keep spreading it. But Trump just amplified it to tens of millions of people who were watching. Why push something that's not true?
Well, first of all, city officials have not said it's not true. They've said they don't have all the evidence.
They said they have no evidence.
We've heard from a number of constituents on the ground, Caitlin, who both firsthand and secondhand reports saying this stuff is happening. So they very clearly, meaning the people on the ground dealing with this, think that it is happening. And I think that it's important for journalists to actually get on the ground and uncover this stuff for themselves when you have a lot of people saying, my pets are being abducted, or geese at the city pond.
I'm going to pause that for just a minute, and then I'm going to let you hear the rest of it. That was important. It's important for journalists to actually get there on the ground. Well, hell yeah. Get up from your desk. Quit looking stuff up on Google. Get up from your desk. Actually go there and go investigate, which is what reporters are supposed to do.
Are being abducted and slaughtered right in front of us. This is crazy stuff. And again, whether those exact rumors turn out to be mostly true, somewhat true, whatever the case may be, Caitlin, this town has been ravaged by 20,000 migrants coming in. Healthcare costs are up. Housing costs are up. Communicable diseases like HIV and TB have skyrocketed in this small Ohio town. This is what Kamala Harris's border policies have done. And I think it's interesting, Caitlin, that the media didn't care about the carnage wrought by these policies until we turned it into a meme about cats. And that speaks to the media's failure to care about what's going on in these communities. If we have to meme about it to get the media to care, we're going to keep on doing it because the media should care about what's going on.
See, now this is what I thought was really interesting. I think he kind of nailed it right there. I like his line, until it was a meme about cats, which is what the Internet's all about, really. Cats run the Internet. They rule the Internet. Until it was a meme about cats, the news media didn't cover this. Here is this small town, a little over, I think it was like 58,000 people, and around 20,000 Haitian immigrants show up, and it just turns out to be a nightmare as they're overwhelmed by illegal immigrants. And the news media really doesn't cover this. They don't touch the story. And the townspeople are screaming for help that they can't handle this. And the news media doesn't cover the story. And as he said, the problems with crime, disease, etc., etc. And the news media doesn't touch it until somebody says, hey, what happened to my pet? Where's my cat? Where's my dog? There were some geese over in that pond. What happened to them? And the story goes around that these immigrants are hungry. They've been cooking them up for dinner. Yeah, okay. The moment that happens, well, that may or may not be true. We'll find out. Now suddenly the news media wants to talk about it because they can turn and say, well, Trump keeps repeating it even though it's a lie. Excuse me, where's the real story here? Why aren't reporters there actually finding out if this is true or not? They've never been there, so they don't know. So first off, get the reporters there to actually find out what the truth is. Why was it only interesting as soon as the animal story came around? And they thought that they had a gotcha on Trump. Then it became interesting. But they're not interested in that this town was overwhelmed by illegal immigrants that suddenly brought crime, disease, etc., etc. Where are they on this story? Where are they on this next one? Let's go back to Aurora, Colorado. Remember the apartment complex that was taken over by a gang? Again, we're talking, I think they were Venezuelan, if I remember right. All right, here's the latest. Colorado landlord has agreed to sell a troubled apartment complex that was taken over by a violent Venezuelan migrant gang. The landlord has been fighting with the Denver suburb of Aurora over the Aspen Grove after the city has accused him of allowing to become a trash-ridden gang. Well, he's accusing the city of allowing it to become a trash-ridden, gang-infested hellhole, according to records obtained by the Denver Gazette. So the company now has agreed to sell, lease, or find some similar disposition for the complex, which was shuttered in August, displacing some 300 citizens. And that's the one that you've seen video of, where the gang showed up and started kicking doors open. They brought guns in. They started harassing people. Some tenants moved out. They basically took over the apartment complex. Now, again, the news media didn't even cover this story. The local news media did in Colorado, but the national news media did not even cover this story. And when they did, I saw CNN and some other news outlets out there act as if it wasn't true. Until finally they're pushed into admitting that it is true, but as soon as they have to admit that it is true, they quit talking about it. Really interesting that they didn't send reporters there. Just like in the small town in Springfield, where why don't you, if you're hearing stories about 20,000 Haitian refugees showing up and taking over and just making the place a hellhole, why aren't reporters there? Yeah. Not until Trump says, hey, they're eating puppies and kittens and geese out of the pond, and they get a chance to make fun of Trump, do they actually start to say something about it. But even then, their fact checkers say it's not true. Well, your fact checkers never went there. That's my main complaint about this. Your fact checkers say it's not true. Your fact checkers have never shown up. They've never been there. They're just Googling things, which isn't fact checking. That's not what fact checking is. RH in Wiggins, Colorado. Hey, Glenn, you probably know this and have seen already, but there are many videos of Haitians in Ohio grabbing ducks and geese, cutting heads off, stringing up cats. I have not seen videos of that. But if you have videos of that, please send them to CNN. Because their fact checkers are never going to go out there in person to look for themselves. Coming up on 8:30, it's local news. Wake Up Wyoming.
Glenn Woods. He talks to you, not at you. Be part of the show at 888-97-WOODS. This is Wake Up Wyoming on K2 Radio.
8:36 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. 888-97-WOODS, the phone number. That's 888-97-WOODS. I'm just checking some things people have sent me here. Breaking sign up there. Oh, is this the one? Ohio woman killed an 8-cat in front of neighbor's lawn. Okay. I'm trying to see the video. It's not actually a good video that I'm seeing here, though I'm trying to take a look at it. There we go. Okay. Ohio woman was allegedly killed and eaten a cat from, okay, but it's allegedly. That's not the kind of video that we're looking for, just so you know. All right, so this is where, and I'm not, okay, let's make sure we get what facts are. Let me try to redefine this for you so you know. Here's the story if you're just joining me. So there's this, what Trump said, there's this town in Ohio, about 58,000 people, if I understand this right, and about 20,000 Haitian refugees showed up. And dear God, what a hellhole the town has become, because it was a nice town. Not anymore. Between the crime and the disease and all these problems, people camping in yards and, so on. I mean, it's just been horrible. And then the story starts to circulate that, well, people have been eating cats and dogs and even some ducks and geese from the local ponds. And so when Trump repeats this during the debate, Kamala Harris is looking at him like, well, you're just an idiot, and she's laughing at him. Well, okay, but it's been appearing in local newspapers there, and then the question is whether the story is true or not, and the local government there, the city government, did not say it was or wasn't true. They said they didn't have enough information. Now, CNN and other news organizations are trying to say, well, we fact-checked it, and it's not true. They didn't fact-check anything. Again, sitting there behind their desk or in their cubicle at work Googling something is not fact-checking. Now, Reefer in Carpenter, Wyoming, what you just sent me is not fact-checking it either. Because all I have is a video of a woman who looks like she's being arrested. But show me a video of somebody actually eating a cat. I mean, someone in the neighborhood actually catching the dog and killing it to eat the dog. Okay, because what you sent me, unfortunately, doesn't actually demonstrate anything. But I see you there, Jude, and I'm going to get to you in just a moment. So let me talk for just a moment about what fact-checking actually is. Because it's not Googling something. And even most of you at home, sometimes you can look stuff up. And I do that a lot of times, too. I actually go look things up, and I do find video and actual evidence of it. But for reporters, in the vast majority of cases, they want to fact-check from their nice, cozy little cubicle at the whatever news organization they work for. And they don't actually want to get up and go out and look, because that would involve work. You actually have to, if they want to know if this is happening in this Ohio town or anything else, because what's even more important is the crime and the disease and so on, go there. And don't just talk to the refugees, talk to the police, talk to the neighbors, but also spend some time there and watch and see what happens. Now, that's fact-checking. So oftentimes, besides this controversy, there's been so many others where I hear reporters say, well, independent fact-checkers show this. You don't know what the facts are. You Googled a couple of things. And even then, you bias Google it. Any information that shows what you think is wrong, you're going to dismiss. And anything that you like, you're going to latch on to, as long as it keeps your narrative. And that's not what fact-checking is. If you really want to fact-check it, then you're interested in being proven wrong. And that's important. Anyone who really wants to fact-check something is okay if they find out that they're wrong. And these reporters are not okay with that. So, back to the phones I go, 888-97-WOODS, 888-97-WOODS. Or we go to Mills, Wyoming. Hey, Jude. You there, Jude? Okay, I had her there just a minute ago. Phone says she's there. Got that there. Okay, Jude, I can't hear you. If you want to call back, you know the phone number, 888-97-WOODS, and I'll get you back on there. I have found many times different reporters and anchors on news organizations have said, this has been fact-checked. And I've watched people fact-check things. In my business, I've watched it happen. And oftentimes reporters and commentators do walk in with preconceived ideas about what they want to be true. And, one of my biggest topics, and I think it's an important topic to pick up, is the whole climate change issue. So I'll watch I've watched this. Reporters go to fact-check something about climate change. And they walk into their fact-checking with a preconceived idea of what the truth is. Anything that proves them wrong, they just dismiss it as, well, that can't be right. That's not credible. And they just dismiss it. Many times they dismiss evidence that would prove them wrong without even looking at the evidence. They hear that there's something that might prove them wrong, and they dismiss it as not credible, and they haven't even looked at it. I've watched reporters try to fact-check something without ever making a phone call, without ever leaving their office. They don't go to the place that they're trying to fact-check. They haven't interviewed anybody. They're just looking for stuff that confirms the narrative that they already have in their head. And that's what they call fact-checking. So, RH in Wiggins, Colorado. Hi, Glenn. Regarding whoever sent you the alleged Ohio cat eating video, listen to the audio, what the officer... Oh, I did hear the audio, yeah. But no, my point is, I'm not seeing it happen. Because what I was being told was, We have video of people basically taking cats and taking dogs and eating them. Alleged doesn't count. Okay. Even police officers saying she did what? Okay. Do you have video of someone actually doing this? That would help. Okay. This is what you're really looking for. You want something that cannot be debunked. That's what you're really looking for in a video like this. Do you have something that cannot be debunked? And that video can be, if you really want to put it up in let's say we were going to a court of law. If I were the opposing attorney, I could easily debunk that video. You want something, do you have a video of somebody from that town? It's obviously from that town, and you catch them in the act on video. If you have that, then boy, you have the evidence. But that gets back to why, and this is where I give a lot of credit to J.D. Vance for what he said about this, is, reporters were not interested in this town at all, despite what was going on there, until there was a cat meme that popped up on the internet, until Donald Trump mentioned that, hey, these Haitians are eating people's pets and also ducks and geese from the ponds. Well, as soon as he said it, then they needed to debunk him. And he's just repeating a lie. Well, they don't know if it's a lie or if it's true or not because they've never been to the town. And it wasn't a news story until that. And they still have not gone to that town to see, is what he's saying about all of the horrible things happening in the town, or is that true? Why was there no interest whatsoever? Let's go back to Colorado, Aurora, Colorado, where there's that, basically the gang took over the apartment building. The gang from Venezuela took over the apartment building. Absolutely no interest in that story from the media. Local media, yes. Local media has covered it. National media, you got to drag them kicking and screaming into a story like this. Even crimes that have been happening in New York City, where now 75% of the arrests in New York City are illegal immigrants. And where's your news media on this? Wouldn't you love it if they were to get off their lazy butts and actually go to these places and walk around and talk to people and witness it? Spend time there. But again, that actually takes work. That's work. And they don't want to have to do work in the news media. And they certainly don't want to come across anything that's going to shoot their preconceived ideas out of the water. Because anything that proves them wrong, that's just not credible. That's your fact checkers today for you. Coming up on 846, Wake Up Wyoming.
The only show broadcasting from a bunker under Devil's Tower. Hey, it's cold down here. Wake Up Wyoming with Glenn Woods, 6 a.m. weekdays on AM 1030 and FM 95.1.
Box I go where Frank Gambino is waiting by. So, Frank, if right now, let's say, something horrible was happening. Let's say there was a raging fire coming through your neighborhood right at your house. Something horrible like that, right? Mm-hmm. And you're going to go grab something out of your house. You have just a moment to grab something important and run. What do you grab?
My wallet and my phone and my keys.
Okay, very good. Someone did an interesting little survey here to find out what people would grab depending on who they are. Okay. So as you can imagine, young people grab their cell phone.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they do.
I mean, it's your communication to the world. You got to have it.
Sure. People who are slightly older than that, like maybe their parents, on the other hand, usually like to grab things like clothing, family photo album, stuff like that, jewelry, including rings, wedding bands, important jewelry.
Yeah, I'll buy that too.
Yeah, okay. In other words, some people even older than that, and I understand this, like your grandparents, for example, they are interested in, they have this nest egg that's going to keep them going.
Right, it's under the mattress.
Yeah, so, not all the money. I mean, they're going to
grab as much money under the mattress as you possibly can grab.
That's usually the best way to go. No, they're going to grab their important papers. So I would say, no, my parents used to have what they called a strong box, which if there was a fire in the house, it wouldn't have protected the papers.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
But you can get a strong box that is fire resistant.
Okay.
In your important papers in there. Grab that box and run. That way, all of their investments, they have records of their investments, so their nest egg is good. They know.
That's why you get a safety deposit box at a bank.
Right, yeah, and put all of that stuff in there. The important thing is, according to, and I'm not going to get into all the details, how old you are shows what you're going to grab on the way out the door.
All the necessities, right? All right, in college football, the Wyoming Cowboys will try and rebound from 2 bad losses. They'll host Brigham Young on Saturday night in Laramie. Wyoming fans have no love lost for BYU, that's for sure. And the last time BYU was in Laramie was in 2009, and the Cougars won that by 52 points. UW's had a very difficult time with this crew over the years, losing 12 of the last 13 matchups and 18 of the last 20. Cougars are 2-0, and they're coming off an 18-15 win over SMU in a game where BYU's offense looked just as bad as the Wyoming offense. And the Cowboys have a lot of things to fix when they have the ball, and BYU's defense held SMU to 5 field goals in that game. 7 p.m. start from War Memorial Stadium on Saturday night. We'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. Another round of high school football coming up around the state, and on Friday in 4A, the big game has defending champions Sheridan and Casper to meet Natrona. Both teams are 2-0. Sheridan beat Thunder Basin last week, and NC prevailed over Rock Springs. 2-0 Cheyenne East will host Thunder Basin on Friday. Cheyenne South will be in Casper to meet Kelly Walsh. Kelly Walsh winning this game would pretty much secure a playoff spot for them. So they're 1-1 coming into the game, and South has absorbed 2 huge losses so far. Cheyenne Central will be at Laramie, and both teams 0-2. Rock Springs will be at Campbell County and Gillette in the other 4A game. High school volleyball, Laramie's 11-0 on the season, and they will host Cheyenne South tonight. The Plainsmen won that Gillette tournament over the weekend, and South comes in at 2-11. Bison will host Thunder Basin on Friday. Kelly Walsh is 9-2. They'll host Cody tomorrow. Also on Friday, Cheyenne East will be at Sheridan. East is 8-5. Cheyenne Central 4-7. They'll be at Campbell County. Natrona 6-5. They'll be at Green River, and Kelly Walsh will be at Rock Springs. High school cross country, Gillette will host a meet tomorrow over at the Camplex. Kelly Walsh will be in that deal. Glen Rock will be in the Bighorn meet on Friday. Natrona with a long road trip to Montana to compete in the Bozeman meet on Friday. Then on Saturday, Cheyenne East and Central will be in the Liberty Bell meet along with Laramie in Littleton, Colorado. That's it in sports.
So what UW has to do this weekend is
number one, they're playing BYU, and that's the team that other than CSU, this is the team they hate the most.
Okay. So
and you know what? And the feeling is mutual.
Oh, okay.
You know, so anybody who has been to a BYU Wyoming football game in Provo, you know how weird they are.
Okay.
Hey, that's real simple.
It's a bunch of weirdos we have to beat.
Okay. Now, and there are so many different tangibles to why this exists.
Okay. Now, they have to also, because if they win just this one game, there's a sigh of relief.
Oh, you beat BYU, it's a major season.
Oh, yeah.
And then if you beat CSU, it doesn't matter what you do after that.
If they don't win this game, people are really going to get worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a lot riding on this one.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business we got to take care of. We're going to get back into it again. Hello, Well Whisperer. He's from Flat Rapids. He's sending me a note, which I'll answer in the next hour. And you can text me or call the show. 888-97 Woods. That's 888-97 WOODS. Wake up, Wyoming. Six the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. My name is Glenn Woods. Thanks for joining me. It is a Wednesday, so over the hump we go.
Today's show is sponsored by Firefly Energy Drinks, made with real fireflies. It burns so good.
888-97 Woods, the phone number. That's 888-97 WOODS. You can change the subject if you want.
Warning, this show contains reference to guns, liberty, limited government, low taxation, the cult of climate change, free thinking, cigar smoking, short people, rubber chickens, Karen's bureaucracy, liberal buzzwords, tour runs, traffic, toilets, terrible jokes, and more. No apologies will be issued. Guest callers may express any opinion they want without fear of being canceled. Unless you're a loudmouth jerk like Dave, then Glenn will hang up on you. Strap in, hold on to your coffee,
and feel free to participate.
This disclaimer does not refer to every person named Dave, just one particular Dave from San Francisco. We know a lot of Daves. They call this show all the time, and they're great people. So don't call this program and complain that we use your name. That would be a real Dave move, Dave. I'm going to address just for a minute after we talk a lot about the debate today, and you and I have just gotten into a conversation about fact checkers. So let me see. There's several people here. I've got a whole bunch of notes, people texting me over the Wake Up Wyoming app. So Well Whisperer, who's in Platte Rapids, Wyoming. When I lived in New Orleans, he says, at the end of the Vietnam, many refugees were relocated there. The area was full of feral dogs and cats near the settlement and was completely emptied of pets within months. Now, this has to do with, I think it was Springfield, Ohio. Do I have the name of the town right? Where Haitian refugees showed up. Town's about roughly 58,000 people. 20,000 Haitian illegal immigrants show up in the town. And it has not been pretty between the diseases and the crime and on it goes. And then people started complaining that their pets have gone missing, and they're worried their pets have become dinner. And also ducks from the pond and geese and so on. And so when Donald Trump repeats this during the debate, there's people, even the ABC moderators, trying to spar with him. That was the local city, and I can't remember who was, not the mayor, city manager, something like that, said that was not true. Well, what's interesting to me is none of the news media ever showed up in the town to check out anything until that story about the pets showed up and Trump started to repeat it. So is that true or is that not true? And the answer is nobody's actually fact-checked it. So if anyone's saying we fact-checked it, it's not true. No, you haven't fact-checked it. Have you been to the town? No. So you're going by what you heard. So you called someone from this city and they said, well, it's not true. How do they know? Have you been to the town and checked it out? And don't just walk around talking to people. Do you see it for yourself? That's what fact-checking is. So the story that I just got from Well Whisperer is a good story, and I'm not saying it is or isn't true. But part of the problem is a lot of what we go by is there's stories out there, and people repeat the stories. Did you see it for yourself with your own eyes? Okay, because just having a story that you heard is not fact-checking. Okay. Yeah, just having a story is not fact-checking. And many fact-checkers do that. That's why I say most fact-checkers are garbage. Now, if you give me a moment here, I'm going to repeat a couple of stories I've told before, but this illustrates it. There was a story some years ago that I told where this is like, I want to say this is like 20 years ago. I have to check to see what the exact date, but it was that a while back. And there was a company in Massachusetts that said that they were working on the first flying car. And they said on a press release, and it's an interesting design. It's a funny looking little car. And you push a button and these wings that are folded up on the sides stretch out. And then you can take off and fly it. And news organizations all over America, from online to on-air, television, radio, from the lowest level all the way up to the network level, we're all saying the first flying car is being built, the first flying car. Being an aviation buff, I did what most fact-checkers don't really bother to do. None of them did. Every news organization is repeating this. I went back to look up when was the earliest flying car that we know of. And I found one in the early 1940s. In fact, I think I can go back a little earlier than that, but I think it was the early 1940s was the first one that I found. No, in fact, it was earlier than that. No, it was in, well, I'll get the exact date. It was before the 1940s. It was before, when we still had just, everything was a biplane. And somebody did take a funny-looking little car and put some biplane's wings on it and put an engine on it and flew it. And now I'm wanting to say 1938. I'll check that to see what the date was. But it was really early. Even after in the 1940s and 50s, more people invented flying cars. You've always been able to buy a flying car. It's just whenever a company comes up with one, they never sell. They might sell 1 or 2, 3 units, and then they go out of business. But someone's always had a flying car. And in most cases, you just attach the wings and fly off. Some people, they're driving across town with the wings on a trailer behind them, and then they go to the airport, attach it, and fly off, right? Other people had folding wings. It's always been there. My point is, no news media outlet ever checked it. They just went with the story. They got the press release, and everybody just repeated it, and nobody bothered to check it. Then I told you the story many times recently, because it's really irritating me, about that 9-year-old who did the school study that said Americans use 500 million straws a day, and most of them wind up in the ocean. And that kid started on local news media, made it all the way up through until eventually he's on TV shows like The Today Show and Good Morning America and so on. And they're all listening to the kid and going, wow, is that true? Gosh, that's horrible. And cities start to ban straws. And what news organization fact-checked that kid? Name a news organization that fact-checked that kid. Finally, somebody did, an independent guy, but very few news organizations ever bothered to correct their story. And yet these are the people that lecture us on fact-checking things. These are the same people who hold bias on all sorts of different levels, from the economy to climate change, name it. And they wag their fingers because they know better because they're the news media, and yet on simple things like the flying car and the straw issue, they don't know what they're talking about because they've actually never fact-checked anything. They got the press release and they just kind of go with it. These are the people I'm supposed to believe as fact-checkers when they can't even get basic things like this right. Well, I don't believe them because they don't know how to do their job. Micah is on the phone about the debate. Morning. Wait a second, Micah. There we go.
It was not brought up last night, and I wish somebody had brought it up.
Yeah.
Was, who has been damaged under which administrations? And, when Trump was in, there may have been a lot of people that don't care for his personal traits, but as far as their own conditions, I don't remember anybody having any really big complaints because of any of his policies. But look at how many people have been damaged under Biden, and look at how many more people are going to be damaged if Harris gets in.
Right.
And nobody's bringing that up.
Yeah. In fact, even when I played, and I played it earlier this morning, when I played the first question that Harris was asked at the very beginning of the debate, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? And she completely avoided the question altogether.
Right. She avoided a lot of questions.
Yes, she did, yeah.
Yeah, she did. And, people might be upset that Trump wasn't more aggressive, maybe, or I don't know, whatever. But if he didn't react that way or didn't act the way that he did, they'd be bitching about that, too. I mean, when it comes to just personal traits, people are going to bash him regardless of how he presents himself.
Yeah.
But, people have got to look at it from the political side, not the personal side.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But,
it
was kind of a disappointing
I didn't,
debate, I will have to say.
I thought it was a complete
but
waste
at the
of
same
time.
time, I think that she's also left herself open for a lot of people to do some shot backs at her over time.
All right. Thank you, Micah. Okay, we're going to try this again because she called in earlier, but something happened and she was called away from the phone. So back to it we go. Mills, Wyoming. Hey, Jude.
Hey, good morning. No, first it was I had to clean up a pile of poop, and then the Sam's Club guy showed up.
Okay.
I've had a busy morning.
Yeah.
I wanted to bring something up. Natrona County Planning Department, okay, it's S24-01, and it was a request by E.G. Haystack Solar LLC for a solar facility, okay? Now, this is 24 miles northwest of Casper, and it's just off Highway 2026, so it puts it by my other property, right?
Right.
And I wrote to the commissioners when I first got wind of this, and I said, you know what? You guys got no fire trucks that could make it out there in less than 20 minutes, because they don't. I know. It takes 17 minutes to drive just from my one house to my next house, and it's 30 minutes from downtown Casper. So they'll have no way to put a fire out if they build this out there. And then I know they use antifreeze to defrost the panels. Now, is that going to go into my aquifer? Is that going to poison all of our wells? And where are they going to get the water from? They're going to steal it from our aquifer. So we all are going to go without water. And when my property goes without water, I'm suing Kill for loss of my water. Okay, he got offered a big chunk of money by this outfit, and I've been researching them all morning. I can't even find them. So I'm going to have to go through the state and see if there's a business license on him somewhere. There's got to be. Okay, so he gets a bunch of money out of this, and that's what he told me. He said, it's hard to turn the money down, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going, well, what about your neighbors, dude? You got plenty of money. What's this about? You greed? Is that what it is? Greed? Anyway, they're going to fence it off so the animals won't be able to get to the only source of water in that area. And then I know for a fact that it ups the degrees in the area by 6 to 7%, and it also emits radiation. So I'm telling everybody who's living out on 2026, you better get your butt to the October 8th, 2024 county commissioners. October 8th is the planning and zoning, and then November 5th is the Florida County Commissioners, and tell them you're not going to allow them to put in 2,000 acres of solar panels out in the middle of nowhere, except it's going to do what I just said. So.
All right. And you wanted something on the debate real quick.
Oh, yeah, I watched it. I think Trump did as good as he could. I mean, it was 3-1. Camilla lied so bad she ought to be a rug. And I don't know. She just, I'd like to wipe that smirk off her face with a brick.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Judy. It's Wake Up Wyoming.
Now, Glenn Woods fits in your pocket with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
It's Wake Up Wyoming. Jim and Casper's been patiently waiting by. Hello, Jim.
Well, good morning, Glenn.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely.
Wanted to touch base on the debate a little last night. Once again, I am just amazed that Donald Trump is able to withstand the pressure and the barrage that he gets every day. I mean, the guy gets up, puts his feet on the floor, and can stand through this. I hope he doesn't have a George Costanza moment where he's saying the jerk store called and they're out of you, where he's second guessing what he's done, because I think he did an amazing job.
Okay.
I think he handled the FBI question very well. The FBI came up with their statistics just like the Census Department or the Business Commerce Department and Jobs. They went soft on Kamala and just went super hard on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, once again, they ought to be embarrassed.
I really have to give you credit on this one, Jim, because there's something that we really haven't taken a look at throughout all of this. How much has Trump been through since he decided, and we can go back further in his life, but just since he first decided to run for president up until now, they've thrown how much at him, and yet he just keeps going. And even when a bullet nicks his ear, he gets up and starts pumping his fists in the air, yelling, fight, fight, fight. I mean, how many people really have that kind of chutzpah?
Nobody else on earth. And then for her to say, I'm doing this for the American people, and he's doing it for selfish reasons.
Yeah.
Really?
Right.
He's got the world by the tail.
Mm.
He could sit back, and as he said time and time again, I got a pretty good life.
Yeah. Well, in fact, when he was president, he did not take a salary. He could have. Yep. He actually lost money while he was president, and he didn't really seem to care about it. So at that point, you got to wonder what's motivating this guy as compared to someone like a Harris and what's motivating her.
Yeah, and if it's not true love for this country, the guy is the biggest and best actor in the history of actors.
Yeah,
because he can't fake it. I mean, this has to be authentic, and
right.
I was amazed last night that they just kept second guessing him. And there is a clip of a guy in Ohio calling the police and saying there are 2 men and 2 women carrying ducks out of the park.
Yeah, I see. What I'm looking for, though, is the clip of the people actually carrying the ducks. Because it's easy to say that, and there's even someone sent me a video of the police arresting someone, and they're saying, well, apparently she ate a cat. Show me someone actually picking up a cat and killing it or eating it, and you really have something then. Until then, let's imagine for a moment I am the opposing attorney, and we're taking this to court. If all you have is a video of somebody said something, then I can defeat that in court. So I want to see the real thing. Okay, but I do think there's something to the story. Reporters are not showing up to cover it.
Right, and the city. Why would the city admit it?
Right.
It's
Okay.
It's like in our case. In our case when they talked about the hotel and it being invaded and what have you. Then they said, "Oh no, it really wasn't that bad."
Right.
It really wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ben.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it. Yeah, I do have to make whether you like Trump or not. Let's put that aside for a minute. You got to admit, this guy just keeps going. And no matter what, how many people could really go through all of that he's gone through and just keep on going like that? And then you got to wonder what's really motivating the guy. And if you're thinking money, and again, he did not take a salary as president. And while he was president, he lost money. And he didn't care. He just kept going. So you got to ask yourself then, for what reason, what's the motivation? Coming up on... And how many people would be able to survive all of that? Coming up on 9:30, local news coming your way. Morning, I-80 John. Great idea. No more solar farms until parking lots all have solar panels over the parking spaces. I like that idea because then we all get a parking spot in the shade. Let's wake up, Wyoming.
Local and mobile across Wyoming and beyond with the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app. This is AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:36 the time. Phone number 888-97-WOODS 888-97-WOODS. There's several topics I wanted to get to today, but you guys keep bringing me back to, which is okay, which is fine, the debate and topics surrounding that. So let's take a look at what Jeff in Casper says. So Jeff says, I am a Trump supporter, but Kamala won the debate, unfortunately. She always goes back to saying it's move forward and not look back, and I'll be a positive president. To most Americans, that sounds better than listening to Trump go down a rabbit hole talking about things that questions he has nothing to do with basically what he was asked during the debate. I'm worried Americans will buy Kamala's message that is a positive path. Well, Trump needs to stop acting angry. I agree with that. One of the things I would, if I could coach Trump on anything, is just quit being angry all the time. I mean, I get the frustration, but stop. Be the positive guy. Ronald Reagan ran on being positive. And that's what I think should be done. Run a campaign on being positive. Also, remember, let's go back to Obama. Obama, one of the most naive presidents, and there were more scandals during his administration than I can remember from any other presidential administration. But why did Obama win? Well, he ran on hope and change and moving forward. Now, those are very generic terms. That's why it works. Hope for what? Well, what I hope for and what you hope for might be two different things. Especially when you look at a liberal or conservative or a libertarian, they're all hoping for different things. So everybody will attach their own meaning to that. That's why it works, because it doesn't actually mean anything. So you can all fill it with whatever you want to fill. Fill that cup with whatever you want. Change. To what? Is change always a positive thing? It's not, is it? But again, doesn't matter the point of view of the person listening. They can fill that cup with whatever they want. Moving forward. Well, moving forward to where exactly? To do what exactly? Moving forward is not always a good thing. Sometimes going back is actually a good thing. you move forward into a very bad place. Better go back to where you were. It was a better place. It's an empty phrase. But again, people can fill that cup with whatever they want. So Obama runs on hope and change and moving forward, 3 empty phrases, which is the perfect way to run for the American people. So that's why I didn't like at the end when they said your final statement. And Trump won the coin toss, so he's the last one to speak, and he should take advantage of that. And Kamala gave a bunch of promises. She can't keep any of those promises. She's not capable of keeping any of those promises. But she promised a whole bunch of things and talked about a wonderful future that she's going to build for everybody. Won't be able to deliver on any of it. Didn't even know how. That doesn't matter. It was hopeful sounding. Trump went on the attack and sounded really angry. And I didn't like his closing statement, mainly because of the tone of it. Doesn't go over well. So now, this is where Jeff and you and I will part a little bit. I don't really think, as far as who won or who lost the debate, personally, I thought they both looked and sounded pretty bad. Yeah, I thought the whole thing was a wash. But now we'll find out, though, because I don't know if anybody decided anything based on that. I have no idea. This is why I go back to, if Trump wants to win this, we have a couple of months, I guess, to go ahead and figure this out. I forget how many weeks we have to go. And so in the time that we have left, this is where Trump really needs to make his case. The news media is not going to help him because, in fact, the better Trump does, the more the news media is going to be against him. So he's got to get around that. Kamala doesn't have that problem. They run interference for her. They literally run interference for her. Whenever she has a blunder, they just run interference for her. And they don't question her. Not really. And so if Trump wants to win this, he's got to find a way, and he's a media guy, he should be able to do this, to get a message to the American people. The last 4 years, they've lied to you. And look at all the horrible things between illegal immigration and drugs and inflation and et cetera, et cetera. Look at all the horrible things that have happened in the last 4 years. Enough. We've got some problems that we need to fix. And you know I can fix them because I did the last time I was president. So let me go in there one more time and clean up the mess that these Democrats made. If he does a good message like this and doesn't come across as some angry, eccentric guy, but comes across as someone who we can believe he's going to fix things and he's reliable. I mean, we'll put up with those eccentricities because we know he's got them, but he's reliable. Then those undecided voters, again, the low information voters, the people who show up at the last possible second and then start to pay attention so they don't really know what they're talking about, those are the ones that we have to convince. It's nice when Trump holds a rally and so many people show up. That's great. But he doesn't need to convince them. He's already got them. That's not who he needs to appeal to. As those Americans out there who don't pay attention to politics and are not paying attention or have not been paying attention until about now. Now's the time, really, now's the time that Trump really makes a case to them, wins this or loses this based on how well he's able to do it. And get around the news media. They're not going to help. Again, the better he does, the more they're going to attack him. The worse Kamala does, the more they're going to run interference. So he's got to overcome. He has a lot to overcome. 9:43, wake.
So many opinions, we had to build the Wake Up Wyoming mobile app to hold them all. Free download from AM 1030 K2 Radio.
9:48 the time. It's Wake Up Wyoming. Off we go to talk to Frank Gambino, who's over there in the icebox. Okay, Frank, I came across a few signs here that are basically safety fails, okay?
So they're telling you to do something which is not the smartest thing to do.
Right. So, for example here, a big billboard, texting while driving kills.
Yeah.
For more information, text safety to... Yeah.
Well, they could put that on there, and then the next line is, when you're off the road.
Yes, exactly right. But it
when you get home.
Yeah. The next one is a pull shut-off valve. So if there's a problem, like let's say you're at gas tanks or whatever like that, and they have a glass box around it so nobody accidentally pushes or pulls it, right? And then there's a padlock on it.
Oh, well, don't you? Whatever happened to them? They had the hammer with a chain that you broke the glass.
Yes, that would be nice if they had something like that.
They don't anymore?
No.
Oh.
You got to find. Who's going to know where the key is for the padlock?
No, it probably doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Here's a guy who is standing on. Okay, I want you to picture a stairwell, and the railing to hold on to is just two metal bars.
Okay.
So they're round metal bars, not very thick. He's standing 1 foot on each of one of those metal bars, straddling them high in the air, putting up a sign that says "Think Safety."
OSHA would have a blast with that one, wouldn't they?
Oh, my God, yeah. Oh, there's one after the next year. Let me see. Okay. There's a fire extinguisher. Oh, this is good. Whoever did this was thinking. So picture a little holder that's up on the wall. Now, this is more like a tray, with little slots, like you would put a drink cup in your car.
Yeah, okay.
And one of them has a fire extinguisher, and the other one has a little, propane blowtorch thing, about the same size as the fire extinguisher. Yeah. One says more fire, the other says less fire.
That's cool.
See, what
that's
exactly
cool.
did you want there? Okay.
That's very cool.
Defibrillator, do not use.
Unless you're defibrillated.
Okay. Let's see. More safety fails. Let's see. Okay. Fuses that prevent short circuit a safety system or plan that kicks in when something has already gone wrong.
Isn't that the way it's designed to work?
Yeah. I guess the point they're trying to make is if this thing kicks in, you're already dead. So what are you worried about?
No, you can save yourself. Just go down with the ship.
Yeah. I do like this one. This is a guy, and he's trying to have fun with this. He has a big Rastafarian hairdo, you know what I mean? The dreadlocks. And it goes way off the back of his head. So it looks like his head is much longer in the back. And that's where he put his hard hat. It's going to help a whole lot.
Yeah, alrighty then. High school volleyball. Laramie is 11-0 so far this season. The host Cheyenne South tonight. The Plainsmen won the Gillette tournament over the weekend, and South comes in at 2-11. And the Bison will turn around and host Thunder Basin on Friday. Kelly Walsh is 9-2. The host Cody tomorrow, also on Friday. Cheyenne East at 8-5 will be at Sheridan. Cheyenne Central at 4-7 at Campbell County. Natrona at 6-5. They'll be at Green River, and Kelly Walsh will be at Rock Springs. And the Casper schools and the Sweetwater County schools will flip-flop for Saturday. In high school cross country, Gillette will host a meet tomorrow. Kelly Walsh will be in that. Glen Rock will be in the Bighorn meet on Friday. And the Natrona with a long road trip on Friday to Montana to compete in the Bozeman meet. Then on Saturday, Cheyenne East and Cheyenne Central, as well as Laramie, will be in the Liberty Bell meet in Littleton, Colorado. Another round of high school football coming up on Friday. The big game in 4A will have defending champion Sheridan on the road in Casper to meet Natrona. Both teams are 2-0 on the year. Sheridan beat Thunder Basin last week, and Nancy prevailed over Rock Springs. 2-0 Cheyenne East will host Thunder Basin on Friday. Cheyenne South will be in Casper to meet Kelly Walsh. A KW win in this game would pretty much secure a playoff spot for them, so they're 1-1 going into the game, and South has absorbed 2 big losses so far. Cheyenne Central will be at Laramie. Both teams are 0-2, and Campbell County will be at Campbell. The Rock Springs will be at Campbell County in the other 4A game on Friday. College football. Wyoming Cowboys will try to rebound from 2 bad losses. They'll host BYU on Saturday night in Laramie. Wyoming fans have no love lost for BYU, that's for sure. And the last time the Cougars were in Laramie, they won 52-0. That was back in 2009. UW's had a difficult time with this group over the years. They've lost 12 of the last 13 matchups and 18 of the last 20. Cougars are 2-0. They're coming off an 18-15 road win over SMU in a game where the BYU offense looked about just as bad as the Wyoming offense has been. Cowboys have a lot to fix on offense. Listen, the BYU defense did hold SMU to 5 field goals in that game last week in Dallas. 7 p.m. start from War Memorial Stadium on Saturday, and we'll have that for you on K2 Radio in Casper and KOWB in Laramie. And the Cowboys are currently 10.5-point underdogs.
Oh, wow. 10.5 point. So people do not have a lot of hope for them right now.
Well, I don't know, but I'll say this. When Wyoming beat BYU back in 2003, the students tore the goalpost down and carried them all the way downtown to the bars.
Okay, so you want a repeat of that?
Oh!
Yeah, okay.
I'm not even sure you can tear those things down anymore.
Not really? No? Well, you just set for everybody a goal.
It comes down in one piece now for some odd reason.
That's fine. They can run that all the way downtown.
Yeah, all the way downtown.
Is getting it in the bar.
Yes.
That's the problem.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Coming up on some local business. Hey, great show today, folks, and thanks for that because you provide a lot of, really interesting comments and material. We'll do it again tomorrow. It's Wake Up Wyoming.